Welcome to my ranking of the top 100 roller coasters that I've ridden. As my coaster count is currently at 288, this list will feature roughly a third of the coasters that I've done so far. This is going to be a long list, so I'm only going to comment on my top 25. Spots 100 to 26 will be without comment in order to shorten this video. Before we start, here's what I like about roller coasters the most. First of all, I like my rides intense and out of control. This can be achieved either through strong laterals and high positive Gs, but hard-hitting rapid-fire ejector airtime is just as good for me. I also love theming, but in most cases it doesn't change my thoughts on a ride too much. Lastly, I am rather sensitive to roughness and strong rattle, especially on wooden coasters, but there are some exceptions. And now, here are my top 100 roller coasters. And now we are at the top 25, which only consists out of elite roller coasters. At number 25 is Helix, the Mug Rides multi-launch coaster at Liseberg. This ride is fantastic. Helix has great terrain usage, a great soundtrack, and an excellent layout, mixing some pretty powerful elements with more graceful ones. I would have liked it to be a tad more intense overall, but it already is amazing nonetheless. Coming in at number 24 is Tornado at Bakken. This Intermin spinning coaster is hard to rank, because it has two modes. Tornado on normal mode, which is what you're gonna experience at least 90% of the time, wouldn't even crack my top 50, because it's a two-trick pony. However, Tornado on boost mode, which you only get if you're lucky, is top 5 material, because boost mode rides are actually frightening. If boost mode wasn't so rare, I would have ranked Tornado way higher, but I couldn't put it much higher than this for now. At the 23rd spot is Gold Rush at Slagharen. Both on my first and second visit to Slagharen, I really enjoyed this Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster. It packs really good forces into its compact layout, with strong positive Gs, great airtime, excellent whip, fun launches, and one of the best hang time moments out there. Once Gold Rush gets going, it's a wild ride all the way through. Sitting at number 22 is Shambhala, the B&M hypercoaster at Portaventura. This is easily my favorite coaster when it comes to floater airtime. There are up to 24 seconds of really good floater airtime on this ride, with all of the camelbacks being insanely sustained. Of course, Shambhala is super smooth, and as a whole, this is just a work of art. Coming in at number 21 is Black Mamba at Phantasialand. This B&M invert is a powerhouse. It combines some great whip with a lot of high positive Gs. On top of that, Black Mamba also has great theming, as the ride goes through many tunnels and trenches, which also causes quite some disorientation. Overall, the ride's intensity and theming make Black Mamba one amazing experience. Starting off the top 20 is Millennium Force, the iconic Intermin Giga Coaster at Cedar Point. This ride is a speed machine and a journey. After a stunning first drop, Millennium Force flies over a really large chunk of Cedar Point with high speeds. The duration of this ride is also really long, and thanks to its smoothness you can enjoy its speed to the fullest. Millennium Force is just a one-of-a-kind experience, and I'd love to ride it again. At number 19 sits Furious Barco at Port Aventura. I probably ranked this Intermin Wing Rider higher than most people, because it was just super fun for the dumbest reason. Barco has a hydraulic launch and a high-speed low-to-the-ground layout. Now some people aren't the biggest fan of this coaster, because it actually is really rough, but for some odd reason I actually like the roughness at those high speeds. Furious Barco just feels insanely chaotic for the entirety of its short layout, and that's why I love it so much. Taking the 18th spot is Fly, the Vekoma flying launch coaster at Phantasialand. Fly is an incredible experience. The flying sensation mixed with some really fun forces and the breathtaking theming of Rookburg is nothing short of magical. Phantasialand doesn't hold back when they build new rides, and with Fly they've outdone themselves. This isn't just a must-ride for coaster enthusiasts, it's a must-ride for everyone. Coming in at number 17 is Cedar Point's Intermin Blitz coaster Maverick. Despite both of my rides on Maverick being early morning rides, I still love this wild ride. You've got several moments of good positive Gs, fantastic whip, solid inversions, and great airtime. Maverick just has a near flawless layout that's packed to the brim with forces. I just haven't ridden it at its best yet, so I can't rank it much higher for now. Number 16 is Leviathan, the B&M Giga Coaster at Canada's Wonderland. Leviathan is still my favorite coaster by B&M, and it's also my favorite Giga Coaster. From the first drop until the brake run, the train flies at really high speeds while also maneuvering some quite forceful elements. It's not as long as Millennium Force, but it is punchier. Warmed up front row rides on Leviathan are some of the most fun coaster rides out there, as your face just gets blasted with wind all the time. At number 15 sits Jules Summerland's Intamin Megalite Piraten. This ride is a fantastic airtime machine with a really powerful layout. Piraten is packed with strong ejector airtime, rapid laterals, and high positive Gs. Despite its small size, it also is a really fast-paced ride that uses its speed to the fullest. Piraten still runs very smooth, and you also can't go wrong with the old-school Intamin Mega Coaster trains. Overall, Piraten is one excellent ride that you just got to love. And number 14 is Phoenix, the new Vekoma Wildcat at Farup Summerland. This ride is Piraten's rival, as it's another really good airtime machine with a super fun layout. Phoenix is not only one of the smoothest, if not the smoothest roller coaster that I've ridden, but it also has one of my favorite layouts. From start to finish, it throws ejector airtime, great whip, and excellent hang time at you. The vest restraints also don't limit the airtime one bit, which is great. None of Phoenix forces are the craziest, but that also makes this thing super re-rideable. Vekoma just keeps on delivering. Number 13 is Toverland's awesome GCI wooden coaster Troy. Up until riding this powerhouse, I wasn't that impressed by GCI, but Troy changed that. This is one of the best paced coasters that I've ridden. Troy is a lateral machine that almost always has you on the side of the train, unless there is an airtime moment. When I rode it, it was running fairly smooth with an optimal woody rattle. So because of the great pacing, powerful laterals, and fun airtime moments, Troy is an elite wooden coaster that takes your breath away every time. Coming in at number 12 is Expedition G-Force, the legendary Intamin Mega Coaster at Holiday Park. As this is the oldest coaster in my top 15, there is a high chance that this was the best coaster in the world when it opened back in 2001. G-Force's layout features several really strong ejector airtime moments, but also some good laterals and solid positive Gs. Its first drop is also one of the best out there. G-Force has become a bit outdated by now, so of course it isn't at the very top of the coaster world anymore, but despite that, it still holds up extremely well. At number 11 sits Topfield Dragster at Cedar Point. To some extent, this Intamin accelerator is now defunct. Zamperla will overhaul the ride, likely with new trains and an LSM launch. As much as that will improve the reliability of the ride, the old launch being gone makes me really sad, as that launch was the best one that I've experienced. The feeling of waiting on the launch track for what felt like hours is still incomparable with anything that I've experienced. The launch itself is also in its own league, as it's not only extremely punchy, but also ridiculously fast. The top hat is once again something else, and even the final stretch with super high speeds is insane. Within its short ride duration, Topfield Dragster delivers more than any other coaster ever could do in the same time span. And now we have made it to my top 10, which has received several changes once again. Every single ride here is essentially flawless, and any of these rides could be someone's favorite. It really just comes down to preference with these. At number 10 sits Zadra, the RMC Hyper Hybrid at Energylandia. This is without a doubt the best paced coaster that I've ridden. Zadra rips through its layout like crazy. Despite covering over 1.3 kilometers of track, the train still hits the final brake run with like 80 kilometers an hour. Throughout the fast-paced layout, Zadra features an outstanding drop, several ejector airtime pops, really good whip, and solid inversions. Most of these forces are not as pronounced as on other RMCs, but for the most part the pacing makes up for that. The twisted bunny hop at the end is still one of the most aggressive coaster elements that I've experienced, combining strong ejector airtime and extremely strong laterals. Overall, Zadra is just one crazy speed machine. Taking the 9th spot is Taiga at Linnanmäki. While I didn't expect this Intamin Blitz coaster to make my top 10, it more than deserves this spot. Even without being the most intense ride out there, Taiga is still perfect. Taiga offers any force that you could ask for on a coaster, with strong airtime, great whip, solid positive Gs, pretty good launches, and fun hang time. Having all of these forces spread throughout the diverse layout while also having an awesome view over Helsinki makes Taiga extremely fun and satisfying. When Taiga is fully warmed up, rides in the front or back row actually become fairly aggressive, which is a cherry on top of this awesome attraction. Number 8 is Wildfire, the RMC topper track body at Kolmården Zoo. As much as I am still baffled that a random zoo decided to build the tallest and possibly best wooden coaster in the world, I certainly am more than happy with that decision. Wildfire is arguably the king of terrain coasters, as it takes all the awesome elements from RMC that you know and love, puts them in a cool location, and adds a stunning view. Wildfire's first half is one of the best coaster sections that I've experienced so far, as the train traverses one insane element after the other with breakneck pacing. It does go off the gas a little bit towards the end, which is actually quite rare for an RMC. Despite that, Wildfire is absolutely one of the greatest coasters out there, and it's currently my favorite wooden coaster. Coming in at number 7 is Junker at Powerland. This Gerstlauer Infinity coaster is one of the most overlooked rides out there, mainly because it's located in the middle of nowhere in Finland. Junker took me by surprise, as it shattered the already high expectations that I had. From start to finish, this ride is packed with strong forces. Whether it's high positive Gs, wild whip, awesome hang time, or powerful airtime, Junker does an excellent job with trying to throw you out of the train, and I absolutely love that out of control feeling. If more people got to ride Junker, it would likely become a lot more popular. Sitting at the 6th spot is Conda, Walibi Belgium's Intermin mega coaster. Conda is the king of sustained ejector airtime, at least in Europe. Not only does this beast feature an insanely strong drop, but it also features my favorite camelback, as well as a stunning outer banked hill. On top of that, Conda features a unique turnaround and an abundance of strong airtime pops. There's just so much good stuff packed into this layout, and the great trains make this another super rideable coaster. Kicking off the top 5 is the Ride to Happiness at Plopsaland de Pan. Mack Rides is starting to become a top tier manufacturer, and especially these fantastic extreme spinning coasters are a major reason for that. The Ride to Happiness offers an excellent layout that features several unique elements and really strong forces. On top of that, the spinning makes every ride unique on its own, and on some rides the spinning makes some basic elements absolutely bonkers. A big strength of the Ride to Happiness is its really strong airtime moments, which provide some of the best airtime out there. The many great inversions as well as the onboard soundtrack are awesome as well, and the Tomorrowland theming is the cherry on top of this masterpiece. Coming in at number 4 is Leg Coaster, the Vekoma Bermuda Blitz coaster at Legendia. Unlike Phoenix or Fly, which are more on the graceful spectrum, Leg is all about its extreme forces. It does have some great theming, an awesome setting, and a cool soundtrack, but its layout is something else. The first drop is a beyond vertical twisted drop, which is as wide as it sounds, and the inversions and other airtime moments are also really damn good, but especially the positive Gs are Leg's highlight. Every single turn and valley on Leg Coaster is full of strong positive Gs. Especially the first half of the ride is going to make most riders grey out, but thanks to the flawless pacing, Leg just keeps on blasting you with these high Gs. As I love positive Gs, I love this ride to death. But I must say that this is also the reason why Leg isn't as rideable as the other coasters in my top 10. At third place is Steel Vengeance, Cedar Point's RMC Hyper Hybrid coaster. This masterpiece has become a favorite for a lot of people, and for good reason. Steel Vengeance is absolutely jam-packed with airtime. Let it be sustained ejector airtime or a series of ejector pops, this ride got you covered. The inversions are also really fun, but there's just too many good elements to name them all. While the first half of the ride features larger and more sustained elements with a bit more variation, the second half is a never-ending series of airtime pops, inversions, and turns. Especially during my night ride, which was also the first time that I rode Steel Vengeance, the second half just didn't want to end. Even when the airtime is not the strongest out there, the relentless pacing makes up for that. Every time you think the ride could end, it just throws more elements at you. I still haven't memorized the entire layout, because the second half is just so crazy. The only way a ride can beat Steer Vengeance is by actually trying to murder you with crazy forces, and there's only very few that do. The second place takes Walibi Holland's RMC hybrid coaster Untamed. During my first few rides on this beast back in 2019, I already loved it, and I ranked it really high. That didn't change after my 2020 rides, but my 2022 rides were on a completely different level. This thing was running fast. It was already hauling in the morning, but after warming up for a few hours, this ride was not feeling legal anymore. The strength of the airtime moments was off the scale. Untamed's trains aren't the most comfortable due to the tight shin guards, so the rides actually got painful, but in a good way. However, with the last few rides in the evening, Untamed became even better. During my last ride of my 2022 visit to the park, I had my first ever red out, essentially the airtime version of a grey out. Untamed just shot you into the restraint with incomparable violence. No other ride, not even the Ride to Happiness, comes even close to that airtime strength. On top of that, Untamed has flawless pacing and several world-class inversions. I just had to rank it this high. This is the best airtime machine in Europe without competition, and maybe even the best RMC out there. I was even considering putting Untamed at the top of my list, but that didn't quite happen. My number one coaster is still der Schwur des Kärnan, the Gerstlauer Infinity coaster at Hansapark. Because of this year's night rides, it once again secured the top spot. I don't even need to say much about this masterpiece anymore. The build up with the theming and the tower experience never gets old, and the layout speaks for itself. You got high positive Gs, several really strong airtime moments, and extremely violent whip and laterals. Kärnan is an extremely out of control and aggressive ride, and I just never get bored of its extremely powerful layout. And now, coming in at number 0 is the Dogfart coaster at Bonbonland. You all know that it's the best coaster in the entire universe. Enough said. Anyways, that was my ranking of the top 100 roller coasters that I've ridden. What are your favorite roller coasters? Thanks for watching. Bye.